Hello, in this lesson we will look at how to do mole concept, simple mole concept questions. Now first thing, you have to recall the formulas used in mole concept. Okay, this is the magic triangle. Okay, you have your mass at the top, mole, as well as AR or MR. Then after that, for your mole, okay, there are two things. First is 1 mole of any substance. 1 mole of any substance, it has 6 times 10 to the power 23 particles. Now why do I use particles? Because this substance can be a covalent compound, it can be an ionic compound. So this substance, it could be these are particles, it could be atoms, it could be molecules, or it could be ions in the case of ionic compound. Okay, and then the second one concerning mole is 1 mole of any gas. Okay, the volume is 24 dm cube, and you need to remember 1 dm cube equals to 1000 cm cube, or you can actually work it out. 1 dm is 10 cm, therefore 1 dm cube is 1000 cm cube. So these are the formula used in the mole concept questions, mole concept calculation. Now let's look at the example here. Okay, the first example. Okay, you're given 48 grams of magnesium. Okay, how many mole are there in 48 grams of magnesium? So you are given the mass, you have to find the mole. You are given the mass, you have to find the mole. So what is the formula for mole? The formula for mole is mass divided by AR or MR. Okay, so the formula for mole, write down, this would be your working. Formula for mole is your mass divided by AR. So in this case, the mass is given to you in 48 grams. Now if it is given to you in kilogram, you have to change the kilogram to gram. Okay, so 48 grams. What is the AR for magnesium? So you have to look it up in the periodic table. This is your periodic table, this is your magnesium. The top number is your AR. How do you know the top number? If you look at the legend say the top number is your relative atomic mass, and relative atomic mass is actually your AR. So for magnesium, your AR is 24. Okay, so you write down here 24, and that would give you 2 mole. So that would be the answer for this question. Now let's look at the second example. The second example, you are given 44 grams of carbon dioxide, and you have to find out how many molecules are there. You are given the mass, you have to find out how many molecules. Now molecules is considered a particle. Okay, you are given mass, find out how many particles. You are given mass, you have to find out how many particles. So mass to particles, you have to go through mole, meaning that you have to find the number of mole first, because we know that 1 mole of any substance, 6 times 10 to the power 23 particles. So the first thing is you have to find the number of mole. How do you find the number of mole? Mass divided by mR. So first thing, find the number of mole, which is your mass 44 gram divided by the mR. What is the mR of carbon? What is the mR of carbon dioxide? Your carbon dioxide is actually your CO2. So the mR will be, you have to add up, in order to find out the mR for CO2, you have to add up the AR for carbon as well as oxygen. So the AR for carbon is 12 and the AR for oxygen is 16. So 12 plus 2 times 16, because there are 2 oxygen, so 2 times 16, and that will give you 44 divided by 44, and the answer is 1 mole. So after you found 1 mole already, 1 mole of any substance, 6 times 10 to the power of 23 particles. So 1 mole of CO2, how many molecules? 6 times 10 to the power of 23 molecules, and that would be your answer. Now if the question asks you how many, instead of molecules, the question asks you atoms, you need to know that each CO2 molecule, there are 3 atoms, 1 carbon atom, 2 oxygen atoms, so total would be 3 atoms. So over here, each of this molecule would have 3 atoms. So if the question asks you for atoms, you have to take this number, 6 times 10 to the power of 23 times 3, which is 1.8 times 10 to the power of 24. Okay, I repeat, if the question asks you for atoms, you have to 6 times 10 to the power of 23 times 3. Why? Because each CO2 molecule, there are 3 atoms. 1 carbon atom, 2 oxygen atoms give you 3 atoms. Now let's look at the third question. The third questions give you 240 cm cube of oxygen gas. Okay, and then ask you to find out what is the mass. 240 cm cube oxygen gas, what is the mass? So if you look at the formula, you are given volume, you have to find the mass. You are given volume here, you have to find the mass. So you are given volume, first thing you need to do is you find out the number of mole first. Then after that, you can find out the mass. So first thing, find out the number of mole. You know already 1 mole of any gas, the volume is 24 dm cube. So find out what is the number of mole. Before that, you have to convert your volume in cm cube to dm cube. So cm cube to dm cube, 240 cm cube is 240 divided by 1000 dm cube. Okay, because over here 1 dm cube is 1000 cm cube. So 240 cm cube would be 240 divided by 1000, and that would give you 0.24 dm cube. After you found this 0.24 dm cube, you have to find how many mole. 1 mole, 24 dm cube. So if you have 0.24 dm cube, that would be, so your 0.24 dm cube is 0.24 divided by 24, which is 0.01 mole. Okay, so this 240 cm cube oxygen gas is actually 0.01 mole of oxygen gas. Then after that, you have to find from the mole, you have to find out the mass. So mass is mole times mR. Mole is 0.01. What is the mR for oxygen? Your oxygen is O2. So the mR for oxygen is actually 2 times 16, because oxygen, the AR is 16, but oxygen gas, is actually O2. So O2 is 2 times 16, or 16 times 2, and this one would be 0.01 times 32, and that would give you 0.32 gram. Okay, so the mass of 240 gram, the mass of 240 cm cube oxygen gas is 0.32 gram. Now let's look at the fourth example. Now you are given 1 mole of aqueous magnesium chloride, or MgCl2, and the question asks you how many ions are there. Okay, you're given 1 mole of aqueous magnesium chloride, MgCl2. The question asks you how many ions are there. So you're given mole and you have to find out how many ions. So from the formula, 1 mole of any substance, 6 times 10 to the power of 23 particles. So the particles could be ions. Okay, the particles could be ions. So you need to know that when this magnesium chloride dissolves in water, when this magnesium chloride is actually an ionic compound. When this magnesium chloride dissolves in water, just like the way you write the ionic equation, the ionic compound will split into ion. So in this case, it will split into magnesium ion, which is Mg2+, because magnesium is in group 2. So it forms a Mg2+ ion, and then it would form 2Cl- 2 chloride ion, because chlorine is in group 7. Therefore it would form a 1 Cl, 1- ion, which is a chloride ion. So actually 1 mole, so from this equation here, you can see 1 mole of magnesium chloride, you get 1 mole of magnesium ion as well as 2 mole of chloride ion. Okay, so that means your 1 mole of magnesium chloride will give you altogether 3 mole of ions. Okay, and 3 mole of ions is actually how many of them? It's actually 3 times 6 times 10 to the power 23 ions, and that would give you 1.8 times 10 to the power 24 ions. And this is your answer, because 3 mole of anything, 1 mole of anything would have 6 times 10 to the power 23 particles. In this case, is ion. So 1 mole of ion would have 6 times 10 to the power 23 ions. In this case, you have 3 mole of ion. So 3 times 6 times 10 to the power 23 ions. Now let's look at the last example. This example, you are given 4 grams of hydrogen, and then you are asked to find what is the volume. So you are given a mass and you have to find the volume. You are given mass, you have to find the volume. So mass, in order to go to volume, you have to go through mole. So you have to find out how many mole are there. So 4 gram of hydrogen, how many mole? Okay, sorry. So you have to find mole. Mole is mass divided by mR. Mole is mass divided by mR. So the mass in this case is 4 gram. The mR, what is the mR for hydrogen? Your hydrogen is actually H2. mR is basically 1 times 2, which is 2. So 4 divided by 2 is actually 2 mole. So you have 2 mole of hydrogen. Now 1 mole of any gas, the volume is 24 dm cube. So 2 mole will be 2 times 24 dm cube. So 1 mole is 24 dm cube. In this case, there are 2 mole. So 2 times 24 dm cube is 48 dm cube. And that would be your answer. Again, I urge you to try out the worksheet for the mole concept. This is a basic mole concept, and if you have any problem doing the worksheet, you can always refer back to this video. That's all. Thank you. Bye bye.